This clip is brought to you by VegasWinners.com. Get expert sports betting advice from some of the best handicappers in the world. Head on over to VegasWinners.com and win yourself some money.
Okay. Tell me about when you first meet. I assume that's where you first meet Ted DiBiase and Dr. Death in Mid-South.
Yeah. DiBiase would come in, and Teddy's cheap. Teddy and I became friends, and so I would always give Ted a ride, and Ted would stay at my place, so he didn't have to get a hotel room. And we had a shitload of fun together. Ted was fun to party with and go out, and we just had an excellent time together. Got along real well. As Teddy and I kind of became running mates a little bit there. And Ted DiBiase is the one I was with that we went to the Jack in the Box down the street from where I lived and ordered the menu.
The whole menu?
The entire menu.
We want one of everything.
One of everything. Actually, but we got 6 tacos. One of everything, but add 5 tacos.
And what? Whose idea was one of everything?
We were hungry.
And you had probably help.
It wasn't the extensive menu that it is now.
You had help getting hungry, fair to say?
We had a lot of help getting hungry. Yeah, I was starving.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
And I had enough to make me hungry again and again, so I wanted food. And Jack in the Box was one of those that stayed open 24 hours. But yeah, it was like they had a bonus jack, a jumbo jack, a fish sandwich. I don't think they had a chicken sandwich. They had tacos, they had French fries, regular hamburgers, regular cheeseburgers, and onion rings, and that was it. It wasn't like a grandiose menu.
Well, you know how to tell a story. What about Dr. Death? You told us some DiBiase stuff. Anything with Death back in the day?
Dr. Death, man. Doc was absolutely a maniac, to say the least. And we had been out, and you and I talked about this one time. Cooters, right there off Edgebrook and I-45 in Houston. And now it's La Hacienda, La Raza, something like that. And this was a great nightclub. I knew everybody there, and so we would go in there. And sometimes Doc would imbibe in a lot of different things. And I don't know that Doc really liked cocaine, but he loved the smell.
Got it.
And so we come out, and you always got the assholes. You can always pick them out. That's the one. That's the guy. When you walk into a bar, that's the guy that's going to, at the end of the night, come up and fuck with me. And sure enough, man, there were a group of guys as we're leaving the bar had to come fuck with us. And
like y'all are those phony wrestlers or whatever.
And Doc basically ran these motherfuckers down in the parking lot. And the guy got in his big ass. He had a Bronco, huge, lifted up, high Bronco. And Doc stood in the middle of the parking lot challenging the Bronco. Come on, run me over, pussy. Come on, I'll kill ya. And the guy was scared to death that Doc was going to hurt his Bronco.
So as he's challenging the Bronco, are you remembering all the smells he had enjoyed earlier in the night and wondering if that played a factor?
Oh boy. Yeah. And Teddy's going, he goes, hey man, he might listen to you. I'm like, look at him. He ain't going to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
And so I go over and I kind of try to grab his arm and shit and go, come on, Doc, let's go, man. Fuck this shit. And the guy like has to have that one last comment. And Doc charges the Bronco. And the guy puts it in reverse, running. The guy's in a giant Bronco.
Just run him over. Yeah.
Was as high as our head.
Yeah.
And a man is chasing him down and he's backing up, terrified.
I love it.
And then Doc got on the Bronco and started shaking it and crawled up on the hood and things like that. And the guy shit his pants. And we finally got Doc in the car because there were some fine law enforcement officers that decided to pay a visit that time of night. And we had visited with enough during the night that we didn't want to visit with these particular police officers.
Sure.
So he laid down in the back seat of my car and we got out of there.
Chat me up about your old pal, good old
JR and I, man, we would get in a car, and before we even got out of the parking lot for the rental car, Jim and I would get in the car. Now, it's a long flight from Houston to Dallas, almost an hour. And so that's a pretty long flight to go without being able to imbibe in the ganja. And so as soon as we would get someplace where we could, we'd get in that car and I'd reach down and I'd pull out a nice material to fire up. And we would proclaim, we are going to die in this car tonight, and peel out of the deal. And we would hand them the little contract with our joint in our hand and just see you later. Probably not. And take off and have a good time. We would we'd stay at a little holodome there at Dallas Fort Worth Airport, and it was quite interesting. That's where we went to in Fort Worth, DiBiase and I. So we would have the matches at Billy Bob's, and Billy Bob's next door, world's largest honky tonk. They would have concerts. And Tanya Tucker was performing this one night. Tanya was wearing light blue spandex pants. And Ted and I are sitting front row. We're pretty fucked up. And we start looking at Tanya and notice that Tanya had a spot on her pants. It kept getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, God.
And it looked like a very moist spot.
Oh, God.
And we're pointing and laughing. And she notices this and she stops her concert. Just shuts it down. She says, I noticed a couple guys up here in the front row or I found something to just pinpoint up here and everything. And I'd like to point it out. Thank you guys. But you know what they say? You always sweat where you're the hottest. And they take a little spotlight, put it right on her sopping wet crotch. And she walked off stage. And now everybody's pissed at DiBiase and I because they think that we've ruined it, ended the show. And she went back and put on a pair of jeans and came back out and finished the show. And she was cool with us. But yeah, she had she looked like she was sweating a lot down there.
All righty.
But it was fun. Yeah, we used to have a lot of fun down there because it was easy and it was a close-knit group. And JR, it would be from time to time. JR at that time in his life loved to not be at home, and so he would come out and party. And Jim was fun, man. He had some fun. It was absolutely hilarious. But we had some fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. How are you so good at handicapping these games? 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. But this is the best start I've ever had. I've never been this good to start a season. You don't win every week, 4 weeks in a row, everything you put out. It's been the kind of year I've had. So get on a hot streak, because when a guy's on a hot streak like me, You want to ride it. I've always had a talent for picking winners. Never quite as hot as I am right now, but I've always been very good at it. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career, they have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money. You becoming a part is really just through Paul. And you talked to Bromwell last week about making road trips with Jim Ross. Any other interesting travel stories from back in the day when you were here working with Mid-South?
Everybody lived in Alexandria, Louisiana, which was the halfway point in between Oklahoma, Mississippi, Texas, all the towns in Louisiana. So most of the boys and the talent and everything lived in Alex. I did some road trips when we took over the merchandising and the concessions, where we went to all of the live events, and that was a short-lived situation for me anyway, because that left no one back in Houston to run the office. And Mid-South was a big, man, that was a driving territory. It was big. But Jim Ross and I used to travel together when we would do TV. You'd go on Friday night and you would do Houston TV and get on the plane, Southwest or American Airlines, on Saturday morning and fly to Dallas, Fort Worth, and we'd do television at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth. From there, you get on the plane the next morning and fly to Tulsa or Oak City, wherever we were doing TV on Sunday. And after television on Sunday night, you drove to Bixby, which is right outside of Tulsa, and stayed at the whatever it was, Quality Inn or Comfort Suites or whatever the hell it was, in Bixby, Oklahoma. Now, you know how much Uber Eats and Grubhub they got in Bixby, Oklahoma?
Probably none.
Yeah, that'd be 0.
Yeah.
And Domino's stopped at midnight.
Aren't all Domino's stopping eventually? Do you have a 24/7 Domino's hookup?
In the beginning, they were 24 hours, or they were later than midnight.
I had no idea.
For fuck, because you were goddamn a little baby.
I'm just saying, even now, I don't think you can order pizza after midnight in Alabama.
Well, you should, especially in Alabama. I'm going to run for Pizza Congress in Alabama. I'm going to get you after midnight pizza.
I'm supporting your platform right now.
Okay. Then we'll do that. You and me. You can be my co-supporter.
Sure. I'm in.
All right. So, yeah, you had to get all your eating materials and all that shit before you went to the barn to do promos on Monday morning in the barn behind Bill's house. And it was actually a barn.
You mentioned Ted DiBiase a little earlier. What was it about Ted that made him work so well against JYD and Duggan?
Man, Teddy just had chemistry with those two guys. And Ted could work with a broom and make that broom look like $1 million. Ted was smooth, second generation, but also Ted had credibility in that area. Teddy came in and was that stalwart that had been around for a long time. They knew him. Teddy had been babyface. He'd been a heel, been babyface, heel, gone back and forth. The best thing that ever happened to Ted's career was when he finally left in '87 to go do $1 Million Man, because I think Ted had gotten into a rut in Mid-South. Always top guy, but didn't always draw the best out of all the top guys.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.